Money in Excel, adding and using account numbers to help sort data. Get ready, because it's time to excel in money using Money in Excel. Here we are in our Money in Excel worksheet. In prior presentations, we set up the template for Money in Excel connected to the financial institution, so we can now use that to sort our data. You can set up the template if you have like a subscription type of model with Microsoft by going to the File tab, going to New. We're looking for this template, Money in Excel. It might be up top. It might then be down below. Going back then to our data. Once connected to the financial institution, that'll download some of the data directly, and then we can sort that data, which we've been working on doing at this point in time. So when it pulls in, it'll give you just the straight data from the information from the bank. So we have the merchant information, which basically comes from the memo type of transactions from the bank, the date, the category. This is where we've been going in and adjusting the category fields. And then the subcategory, we've adjusted those as well, and the amount, and so on. So now that we've basically categorized everything, and note now what we're thinking is, I have everything in a category. We went to the right-hand side, the category tab. We put in our categories over here. We put in subcategories if you want to use them. Our primary goal being to try to sort out what we think is going to be an income statement for, say, business uses. Imagining we need to make a Schedule C type business, for example, at the end of the year, pulling out then primarily our personal information, and then maybe being able to sort that personal information in some way as well. But we're basically thinking, how can we whittle out the personal information and then make an income statement, which can be our building block for basically our financial statements. This is a little bit different, remember, than QuickBooks or some other type of accounting software where you basically have a full service accounting system. You're using the double entry accounting system. You could still use the bank feeds here, but you're in a double entry accounting system. So we have the same kind of data on QuickBooks, but when we assign the accounts, we're not trying to whittle out the personal side. We've got to basically assign the personal side somewhere in the double entry accounting system, like a draws or use class tracking to break those out. In Excel over here, we can basically just kind of carve this out because we're kind of cutting out the income statement out of the double entry accounting system. We're not really using the double entry accounting system. We're just taking the data, making an income statement from it. So that's kind of our primary goal. Now, if I go to the tab to the left, we've categorized all these items, but note that now I'd kind of like to sort by category. I'd sort it here by the category. And then what we really want is income on top of the expenses. Now, anything that's like a balance sheet type of item up top, then, or it's a personal item, I'd like to carve it out. And what we did is we made a category, which was called personal, or this transfer category, which is basically a balance sheet item. Anything that's going to be a balance sheet type of transaction, not going to be an expense, but it's something that was spent for a balance sheet type item. Then you'd want to kind of pull them up and put them up top, and we put numbers in these. So that's kind of why we put the numbers in here, because I'd like to sort it by category and then pull up those items out. So then I can eliminate them basically when I create the income statement. So that's what we've done a little bit thus far. If I go back on over, the naming of the categories is a little bit different. I'm using accounting names or category names a little bit differently than you would use in QuickBooks. In QuickBooks, basically, what we would do is we would set up the categories typically by account. Like if I looked at the balance sheet, assets would be a certain account type. I would start them with a 1 maybe, and liabilities, I would all the liabilities with a 2, and so on and so forth. Once again, in Excel, we're not really looking at a balance sheet. We're not really building the balance sheet here. So I'm trying to use account numbers to or category numbers to sort and pull out personal data and data that's going to be on the balance sheet so I can narrow in on the income statement. So that's what we basically did here. Anything that's under personal, that's why we put it under 1010, which would typically be like an asset account if I was doing this in QuickBooks. But what I'm trying to do is put that at the top so I can sort it out. The transfer here, that's going to be a balance sheet type of transaction. So anything that's a balance sheet type of transaction going from one balance sheet account to another, paying out of the checking account, going into to credit card payable, or into another checking account, or paying out from personal to checking, the balance sheet to balance sheet transaction. And you might have other things like purchasing equipment or something like that here, which you would have to note. You'd want to make sure that you're tracking the equipment purchase and so on. But in any case, we put those in an account number. Now the next one, the big one that we might want an account number with also is the income account. because notice it's sorting all these categories by just alphabetical order, and it's putting all these before the income accounts. The income accounts are going to be the items that I want on top. So now I might want to put them there. What I want are these ones on the very top so that I can weed them out easily. And then I want this one right underneath it. So maybe this income account I might want to call like 1500. Now note that they kind of warn us against not adjusting the ones that were pre-filled in there. I'm going to try to do it and see what happens. Also note that you probably want to do this first before you do it to anything else, because it's going to have an impact on everything that I use that income account for. So I'm going to try to do it here. I'm going to say 1500 in this account. So there we have it. And then all these items that have income over here, I now need to I need to change them to that 1500 income. So these are going to change to the 1500 income, and then the 1500 income, and then the 1500 income. So there we have that. Then I'm going to go back to my transactions, and everything that's income. Now, these ones that are yellow, they're not picking up properly because now I changed the account. So I got to adjust all these to 1500. Maybe then I could copy that. Let's try to copy that. I'm going to hold the control and paste it down on all these, and boom, paste down. And so I think everything works now. So now if I sort this by category, so sorting by category, so now I've got all the stuff that's not really on my income statement, personal stuff up top, the transfer stuff, and then my income before all of my expenses, but income before all of my expenses down below. So the most easy sorting of this, if I was just to kind of try to figure out my net income right now, would be all my income here minus all my expenses, and then that's 39,202. So we got a nice easy income. Obviously, I would like to now group this at least with all the income items together to one item, or possibly sorting them out to various income categories, which might be good for personal use, might not be as necessary for tax purposes. I might just need them in one income account. And then I'd like to be able to break out my expenses by category, meaning lumping these into one item called rent and whatnot. So there's various ways, of course, we can do that in QuickBooks. Now that we have a category for everything, it'll become much easier for us to then do that. And then on the personal stuff up here, we may want to make like an income statement on the personal side of things and whatnot. So we can kind of think about doing that as well, although that's not my primary objective or our goal when we were looking into this, was basically to think about how to pull out the business stuff, thinking we're trying to get a Schedule C type of business. But you could do the same kind of thing for personal data as well, to try to build out the personal data. So next time we'll kind of think about how to take this data and then do different things with it. So the easiest way, if you're not an Excel expert, is to just take this data and then basically kind of group this together. We'll sort this data and sum up category by category, and we can do that kind of a more simplistic way. Might be a little more time consuming, but an easier way to kind of see. And then we can also use pivot tables to do that, which is a bit more complex way to do it. But if you know how to use pivot tables, it'd be the easiest thing to do. You can actually do the pivot tables in your Excel worksheet here, I believe. But what we'll think about doing is taking this data and then putting it into a new Excel worksheet so we don't mess anything up in here. And then think about various ways that we could just trim this down. Obviously, we could just delete these items up top if that's the most basic type of way we can do it, and then get into the actual income statement of the business, or we can use a pivot table, or we could do various types of things. So we'll start to look into that type of thing next time.